This is Skylar, and welcome to Java Programming Lesson 4. Last time we talked about variable arithmetic, and today we're going to talk about getting input from the keyboard, which ultimately is going to lead us to programming objects. This is an exciting topic, so let's get right into it. At first impression, it seems like getting input from the keyboard should be somewhat similar to printing out to the screen. We already have the system.out.println function, so then shouldn't there be a system.in.getLine or something like that? Unfortunately, no. The way that we do it is through the slightly more complicated but extremely powerful scanner object. Now I need to watch out what I'm saying here. I'm using some programming jargon, so let's go into detail in what I mean when I say a programming object. In English, we can use the word object to describe pretty much anything that's physical and inanimate. In programming, the word object carries the similar vagueness in that it doesn't describe any single thing. But a programming object really is any chunk of code that's been packaged in a particular fashion that makes it easy to use later down the road. Some of you might be familiar with the concept of object-oriented programming. Now this is simply the act of writing objects, such as the one we're going to be using today. I've been specifically avoiding object-oriented topics, not because they're any more difficult, in fact you're all quite capable of doing this, but because it adds more topics, and I'm trying to keep this tutorial streamlined and quick. So we won't get into detail on how to create objects yet, but we're definitely going to talk about how to use them. To show how we use objects in the programming world, let's say you and I are going to make the greatest video game of all time. We're going to have a character. It'll be 3D. He's going to run around. There'll probably be aliens, gore, and explosions. It's going to be awesome. However, to render even a single thing in 3D, every pixel is going to have a lot of math behind it. Luckily for us, somebody has already thought through all this math and compiled together an object for us to use. So we will not even have to look at how they do it, but we can still get the end result of a moving character on the screen. Now the object we're going to be using isn't for video games, yet, but instead for getting input from the keyboard. So there won't be complex math going on in the background, but it will still be doing some very useful things. For example, when we're getting input from the keyboard, usually we want the program to stop and wait for the user to press enter before continuing and then crunching the numbers or doing whatever we're doing with the input. This would be quite the pain to program ourselves. Luckily, one of the greatest selling points of Java is that it comes with an enormous library of objects written for us, including the powerful scanner object, which we're going to go into right now. I have here a new empty project. I want to add a scanner into this. So the first thing I do is I tell the compiler that I want to use the scanner object. So I do import is the keyword, and then you have to know where the scanner is located. I happen to know where the scanner is located. If you don't know where an object is located, Google it. It'll tell you. I tell the compiler where the scanner is located because if every time I clicked compile and run, Java just went through every single object at its disposal, it would take forever. So in this case, it only includes the ones that we tell it to. So now I have the scanner available to me. It's underlined in yellow because I'm including it but not using it. Let's change that. To create a scanner, it's actually exactly like creating a variable. In some ways, really, we're just making another variable. Because variables, you write the type of the variable, then the name of the variable. So, the type of the variable I want is a scanner type. Then the name, I'm going to call this input, because that's what I'm going to be getting from it. So now, if this were a variable, I would have an empty variable, and I need to set it equal to something. I can't set it equal to a number, or a string, or a character. I have to set it equal to a scanner, right? So I'm going to make a new scanner here to set it equal to. Keyword new is used for objects when you want to fill them up with a new object. But now it's underlined in red. This is because we need to put something inside of these brackets here. We need to tell the scanner object what it is we want it to scan. You could put a text file in here and it would work just like reading input from the keyboard, except it would be reading it from a text file. But we want to read from the keyboard. So to do that, we type system.out.println system.in. Haha, there's the system.in. And there we have it. We have now completely created and configured a scanner to read from the keyboard. Let's do stuff with it. I'm going to make a string called word and set it equal to input dot, and now when you write the name of the object and then do a period, you'll see here pops up a list of all the functions we can call from this object. These are all codes, functions that somebody else has written for us to use. So I'm just going to call the next function first. And then let's print out what happens. Before I run this though, very important is that I need to close the scanner. You open a scanner here, you close it here. Whenever you open up a printing stream or a reading stream, it's a pretty good idea to close it at the end. So let's give this a try though. I'm going to run it. And here I have, it looks like nothing's happening, but that's because the scanner object is halting the program, waiting for me to press enter. So I'm going to type some stuff in here. And then press enter. Okay, so you can see I typed 1, 2, 3, but then it only printed out 1. This is because I'm using the next function. This will break up whatever we've put into the scanner according to the spaces. It breaks it up between spaces. So basically it grabs the first word that I typed. Well, I want everything I typed, so I have to use a different function. The new line, or the next line function, I mean. So let's run this and type the same thing. And there we have it. It takes everything I put in and then prints it back out at me. Some other things we can do with the scanner. Let's say I want to get an integer called word. That's a very bad variable name, but I'm just going to keep it. To get an integer, I'm going to say next int. Ta-da! I'm going to run this, and then I type in any integer, press enter, and then it just spits that number right back out at me. So this is very powerful. You can do a lot of programming now that you can do user input. Our next project, in fact, we're going to be writing our very first completely functional program. So look forward to that. We also have some really awesome new topics, so thanks for following along so far, but I'll see you in the next part.